When Donald Trump casually suggested that Canada could become the 51st state, it sent ripples through political discourse, igniting a flurry of reactions that ranged from amused disbelief to serious contemplation. On the surface, the remark might have seemed like just another one of his off-the-cuff comments, a quip meant to elicit laughter or applause from his supporters. However, beneath the surface, it raises profound questions about national identity, sovereignty, and the nature of relationships between neighboring countries. First and foremost, the idea of Canada becoming a state of the United States provokes an exploration of what it means to belong to a nation. Canada and the United States share a long and complicated history, characterized by both cooperation and tension. The two countries have often been seen as siblings, with distinct personalities and cultures that have developed in parallel yet diverged in significant ways. Canada prides itself on its multiculturalism, universal healthcare, and a political system that emphasizes social welfare. In contrast, the United States is often viewed as a land of rugged individualism, where capitalism reigns and personal freedom is paramount. Even suggesting that Canada could be absorbed into the American political framework raises questions about the preservation of Canadian identity and values. Moreover, the suggestion prompts a deeper inquiry into the concept of statehood itself. What does it mean to be a state? In the context of the United States, statehood implies not just political representation, but also an acceptance of a set of values and norms that underpin the American way of life. Would Canadians be willing to relinquish their national identity in exchange for the benefits of statehood? Would they be prepared to navigate the complexities of a political system that, despite its democratic foundations, has often been marked by polarization, partisanship, and a deep-seated distrust of government? The prospect of statehood could be appealing to some, particularly in terms of access to American markets or political clout on the global stage. However, for many Canadians, the idea may conjure up fears of losing their unique cultural heritage and the social programs that define their national character. Trump's remarks also highlight the intricate relationship between the two countries, particularly in the context of trade and economics. Canada is one of the United States' largest trading partners, and the economic interdependence between the two nations is undeniable. The North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, now replaced by the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, has facilitated a vast exchange of goods, services, and labor across borders. Yet the economic benefits of such a relationship do not necessarily translate into a desire for political union. The complexities of trade agreements often reveal the challenges of balancing national interests with the realities of globalization. By suggesting that Canada could become the 51st state, Trump inadvertently underscores the tension between economic pragmatism and the desire for national autonomy. Furthermore, the remark invites scrutiny of the political landscape in both countries. In the United States, the notion of expanding the Union has historically been tied to debates about representation and power dynamics. The admission of new states often raises questions about the balance of power in Congress and the implications for governance. If Canada were to join the Union, what would that mean for the political representation of existing states? Would it shift the balance of power in favor of certain regions, or would it lead to a re-evaluation of the political landscape as a whole? Such questions are not merely academic. They have real implications for the functioning of democracy and the representation of diverse voices within the political system. In Canada, the historical context of sovereignty and self-determination cannot be overlooked. The country has grappled with its own identity, especially in relation to its Indigenous populations and the ongoing quest for reconciliation. The suggestion of becoming a US state could be seen as a dismissal of the struggles and aspirations of these communities, which have fought for recognition, rights, and autonomy. It raises the question of who gets to define national identity and who has a voice in determining the future of a nation. The complexities of Canadian identity are woven into the fabric of its history, and any conversation about statehood must take into account the diverse perspectives that shape the country. Moreover, Trump's remarks also reflect a broader trend in contemporary politics, where national boundaries are increasingly blurred by globalization, migration, and technological advancements. The world is more interconnected than ever, and issues such as climate change, public health, and economic inequality transcend borders. In this context, the idea of a single nation-state may seem outdated to some. However, the desire for national sovereignty remains strong, as evidenced by movements for independence and self-determination around the globe. The tension between globalism and nationalism is a key theme in modern political discourse, and Trump's comment taps into this ongoing debate. Ultimately, the notion of Canada becoming the 51st state serves as a provocative thought experiment, prompting us to reflect on the nature of national identity, the complexities of sovereignty, and the intricate relationships between neighboring countries. It challenges us to consider what it means to belong to a nation and how the values we hold dear shape our understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. While the idea may have been delivered with a wink and a nod, it opens the door to a deeper conversation about the future of Canada, the United States, and the evolving nature of nationhood in an increasingly interconnected world. As we navigate the complexities of our global landscape, it is essential to engage with these questions thoughtfully, recognizing that the answers may be as multifaceted as the identities we seek to define. What's the process for adding a state? Congress has to approve accepting a new state. It takes only a House majority, but Senate filibuster rules require a minimum of 60 votes in the 100-member chamber to bring a bill to the floor, an insurmountable threshold for all kinds of key legislation. The Constitution's Admissions Clause, Article 4, Section 3, states, "New states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states, or parts of states, without the consent of the legislatures of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress." Any measure approving a new state that clears Congress would also have to be signed into law by the President. In the case of Canada, Trump has made it clear he would be eager to do so. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, a Trump ally, joked on X when all 50 states certified Trump's Electoral College victory last month, "They skipped Canada, we'll fix that next time." No major legislation is advancing that would extend an invitation to statehood to America's northern neighbor. Doesn't Canada have a say? To say that most Canadian leaders aren't interested in becoming a state would be an understatement. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, head of Canada's most populous province, has spun out a counteroffer for Trump. "How about if we buy Alaska, and we'll throw in Minnesota and Minneapolis at the same time," he said, adding of Trump's suggestion, "It's not realistic." There have been multiple past pathways to statehood. From the absorption of the 13 colonies under the Articles of Confederation, to Congress formally agreeing to Texas's request to be annexed as the 28th state. Most states were added after Congress accepted a petition from some territorial legislative body, which could include legislatures that Congress itself suggested forming as part of the process. Trump expresses desire to expand U.S. territory, use economic force to pressure Canada. Canada would probably have to have a referendum to gauge voters' interests in joining the U.S. before more detailed aspects of the process could begin, and that's almost certainly a non-starter. While not addressing Canada as the 51st state directly, polling last year from Gallup and the Pew Research Center shows that Americans overwhelmingly have a positive view of Canada, and that while Canadians view the U.S. more positively than negatively, their view may be a little more muted. Trump's threats of tariffs have left Canadians feeling betrayed, and sports fans in Canada have begun voicing their displeasure by booing the U.S. national anthem at NBA and NHL games.